Staying consistent when motivation fades. Simple steps to keep you on track. Hey team, and welcome to this week's episode of The Inspired Show. The show that's dedicated to helping you become that best version of yourself, mentally as well as physically. Before we dive into this week's episode, if you've not hit the subscribe button yet, please make sure you do so you can keep updated with every single episode we post every single week. And don't forget to smash a like on this episode if you enjoy it, and let me know any big takeaways in the comments. And don't forget to share it with your friends and family and anybody that may benefit from overcoming low motivation. Don't forget, you can also follow us on our social media pages, all linked down below, where we post content every single day to help you become that best version of yourself, plus access to our exclusive community as well. So today we're talking about motivation. This is something that a lot of people really struggle with. 9 times out of 10, one of the main reasons why people stop making progress towards their goals is because they've lost motivation. And one of the biggest things that holds people back is lack of motivation. So today we're going to delve into it and how we can overcome it. But I'd love to know in the comments, is motivation something that you struggle with right now? When it comes to motivation, when it's there, it's great. Everything is so much easier. It's easier to get to the gym. It's easier to eat better. It's easier to do the things that we know we should be doing in order to see results. However, when motivation isn't there, everything is an uphill battle. We're much less likely to go to the gym, do our workouts, eat nutritiously, and we're more likely to take the easy option. I'm sure many of you guys have been there, and I've been there myself in the past as well. So the first thing that we need to understand is that motivation is simply unreliable. It's not going to be there all the time. And in fact, it actually fades for quite a lot of people as well. So why is this? Well, motivation is linked to dopamine. Dopamine is the feel-good hormone. So when there's lack of dopamine there, you're more likely to have lack of motivation. This fluctuates. So it makes it very unreliable. Motivation can also be tied to your emotional state as well. There could be things that may be happening in your life right now that could cause you to feel demotivated. Like, have you ever had a really bad day? Maybe you've argued with your partner. You've had a stressful day at work. Things are just simply not going the way you want them to go. That in itself can cause motivation to dwindle. Things like the weather. Like, have you ever said to yourself, I'm going to go out for a nice walk and get my steps in today, and then you look outside and it's raining, it's cold, it's windy. You're going to be less motivated to do that. So motivation is tied to not only emotional, but environmental factors as well, which sometimes we have no control over. That's why motivation is unreliable from that side of things as well. Motivation also has misplaced resilience because we're putting all the efforts into being motivated. And like I said, because motivation is unreliable, we're less likely to follow through and do the things we should be doing when it comes to being motivated on your journey. So the first thing we know is motivation, it comes and it goes, it fades. So we can't really rely on it. So what we need to focus on next is, instead of actually having motivation, is firstly think about why. Like, why is it you're on your journey? Why is it you want to change? And I know a lot of people will say, well, I want to be more confident, I want to have more energy, I want to be a good example to my children. But how many times have you said that to yourself? Yet you're still faltering and failing. And again, I've been there. I know exactly how you're feeling. But one thing that worked wonders for me and works wonders for my clients is we go a little bit deeper. We go deeper into the reasons why we want to change. So think about your confidence. What is it about your confidence that you want to improve? Like, are you always covering up at the moment? Are you cancelling social events? Are you that person that never has a family photo because you hate how you look in photos? Is it impacting your relationships where you're no longer intimate with your partner? Do you avoid taking children swimming? Like, get really, really clear on how it's impacting you right now. But also think about the future version of yourself. Like that person that is happy, is confident, is resilient, is energized, and what does your life look like? And give yourself examples of that. Once you've got a powerful reason to change, it gives you more mental resilience to push through when the going gets tough. And that's what it's all about. And that takes us on to the next part, which is all about building habits. Because ultimately, we're a byproduct of our daily habits and rituals. What we do on a day-by-day basis will determine how we look, how we feel, and how we show up for ourselves as well. So when it comes to building habits, a mistake a lot of people make, especially on their journeys, is they try and change everything at once. Now, if you're in that mindset of all or nothing, you're always starting on a Monday, you're starting your diet, you're starting your exercise, you're getting your steps in, you're doing your water, you're getting to bed all the time, and you're cutting out all the foods you enjoy, you're cutting out all the alcohol, no takeaways. And by Friday, it's all down the pan. That in itself is showing that you need to slow down. But a lot of people feel they don't want to slow down because if they do that, they're not going to get the progress they want. But look at it logically. You're not making progress right now. By going all in and failing by the end of the week is leaving you stuck. So it's much better to take a step back, focus on building habits. That may take a little bit longer, but you're going to be more consistent. So in fact, it actually is faster when you think about it. So when you think about your habits, what I want you to think about is small habits, okay? What are things that you can introduce without causing overwhelm? It could be something as simple as having a glass of water as soon as you wake up every single day. If you find that difficult to do, pair it up with another habit. Do you have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee when you wake up? Maybe put a stick-it note on the kettle saying hydrate before you caffeinate. So what you're doing is pairing habits up. Another simple habit you could introduce is maybe having one piece of fruit and veg with every single meal. If you find that overwhelming, just have one meal a day. So you want to break down your habits and make them as easy as possible to implement. And the easier they are to implement, the more likely you're going to be to stick at it. And the idea is you're layering habits over time. And like I said, yes, it might feel a bit time consuming, but the all or nothing approach simply isn't working for you right now. And that in itself relies on motivation to get it done. But building these habits in is actually building consistency and lifelong change. Just as you wake up every single day and brush your teeth, that's how this works. And another really important factor when it comes to building habits is celebrating your success. And I know it might sound silly, but celebrating that you've had an extra piece of fruit and veg. Celebrate that you've drank your glass of water first thing in the morning, because when you celebrate your success, what you're doing is you're reinforcing those behaviors. When you reinforce those behaviors, you're more likely to follow through and keep doing them. And it allows you to build momentum to keep moving forward in the right direction as well. And another thing that a lot of people need to really focus on is progress rather than perfection. Like a lot of people want to be doing everything right, and everything isn't right. They get into the mindset, well, what's the point? What's the point in going to the gym if I'm not eating really well? What's the point in going for a walk if I'm nowhere near my step target? Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. So I want you to start thinking about embracing your challenges, embracing your slip-ups, embracing those little failures. Own them, acknowledge them, but learn from them. And remind yourself, day in, day out, even if you do slip up, it's not about being perfect, it's about making progress. And what that does then, it avoids you being burnt out. Because trying to do everything at once can be very overwhelming, very stressful, and leads to ultimate failure, which is what we don't want. We'd rather make small progress than being imperfect, than being perfect all the time. But most importantly, on your journey, flexibility is key, okay? That's super important. You've got to set realistic expectations, but sometimes life gets busy and you've got to be flexible to that. So for example, you might set yourself a target of 1 to 2 pounds each and every week, and you might be dead set on doing that. But you might have a week where it's your child's birthday, you're going away for the weekend, so on and so forth. Now, in a lot of instances, a lot of people write that week off. I'm off plan this week. I'm not be able to eat as well as I want to eat, so I'm just going to write it off. But instead of having that mindset, be flexible. Maybe just adjust your goals. Instead of being 1 to 2 pounds per week, you can say, do you know what? I probably am going to eat a little bit more this week. I'm probably not going to get as much movement in, but I'm going to focus on the things I can control, and I'm going to be happy with and maintain this week. So you're just adjusting your goals and you're being flexible from that respect as well. And that in itself, it reduces overwhelm and it stops you feeling like you're either on a plan or off a plan, because ultimately it's about making lifestyle change, especially if you want to get into shape and stay in shape long term as well. It's also about having a plan B, having a backup plan. And this is super, super important. So one thing I do with the guys inside the coaching program is each and every week, I get them to think about what obstacles could come in your way and what can you do as a backup plan. Is it having a high protein ready meal in the freezer? Is it having a little bit of white space in your diary where you can throw in a workout if work gets really, really busy? Okay, what are these things that you can use as backup plans if life does get busy? And most importantly, each and every week, reflect on your why. Reflect on why it's so important to you. Now, I guarantee you, if you follow these steps, it'll help you overcome the need for motivation and help you start building momentum to build a life that you want, where you're happier, healthier, more confident. Hopefully you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, smash that like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And any questions, as always, please feel free to reach out to me on any of my social media platforms.